Time I'd like to call to order the Hamilton County Council meeting for November 7th, 2018. Madam Auditor, if you'd please note the presence of a quorum.
Brad Beaver. Here. Paul Ayers.
Here.
Fred Glenn.
Present.
Steve Swartz.
Present.
Rick McKinney.
Present.
Amy Masalamani.
Present.
Jeff Hearn.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. This time we'll have the invocation and pledge of allegiance from Council Amy Masalamani. If you all please stand.
Please take a few moments and bow your heads and pray in your own way.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, if everybody has had a chance to read the minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 3rd and October 15th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. This time, item 5 on our agenda is public comments. Is there anyone from the public that would like to come up and speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to committee and officer reports. President, Tammy Sanders is here. She is the Public Relations and Media Coaching for Hamilton County. Welcome. And is there any questions from our council while she is here? I do have some of her business cards as well.
She's the one doing the PR website. You're the person I talked to on the phone. Okay.
Pass some of those.
You were pretty active during the election, weren't you? That was you doing all that? Very cool.
No questions? Thanks for coming tonight, Tammy. Also, I would like to congratulate all the newly elected officials here in Hamilton County. Thank you all, and congratulations. And that's all I have to the President's report. Vice President, Mr. Beaver.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know I went to the Trinity Free Clinic a week or so ago, like late in the month. Every month they have a lunch and learn, so I went to that. Really informative. I was really impressed with the work they do. I would encourage you all, if you get a chance, find out when the lunch and learn thing is. They keep it to an hour. They give you a little snack, you know what I mean? But it's good to see what they're doing and what the rules are for them. It's not a long-term thing. It's if you need some services, they do it for you. But it was very, very enlightening and well worth the hour of time to go see what they're doing. That's all I had.
Thank you. Moving on, Highway Committee.
We did not.
Moving on to the Finance Committee.
Yeah, we did have a meeting last week. We met with Mike Reuter, talked about things in general, and what I was trying to get from him, if he had any better news for us with our income tax that we're getting, it was well below his conservative projections. No movement there. He did have meetings with, it was Department of Revenue, wasn't it, Robin? Yes. He had meetings with the people from Department of Revenue as to why our income tax distributions to us were considerably lower than he was expecting with a good economy and whatnot. They had no answers, but he thought he made some progress with them, that they'd go back and look and try to come up with answers. But overall, we need to stick with the number he gave us, and other than that. So and in tonight's meeting, also, I think we're going to be moving some money into rainy day because of the courthouse expansion that didn't happen. Those were dedicated funds, and we got to move some stuff around because we have no contracts. We're getting ready to go into a new year, so we need to put some of that money back in rainy day. We're going to do it in December. Yes. Okay, when it comes up in December, that's what it's about.
We are moving something tonight, though, right, to rainy day?
No, next December.
Under the transfer, under our claims? Okay.
Whenever you see it, that's what it is.
Okay, you're right. That's one other thing we had talked about with the committee. We were going to recommend to everybody that the special distribution, if we get it, and maybe some of the that we highlight that for our expected overruns for State Road 37.
Hopefully we'll have some, well, we're going to meet with the commissioners before next month meeting.
Yeah.
And Brad, the money we moved back in December, we need to make sure we keep an asterisk on that if we do move forward in the future so we don't spend that.
You can do that for your own accounting. It doesn't mean anything.
I know that, but for
Yeah.
in the back of our own mind, we need to think about that.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Yep, but that's about it as far as I'm concerned from,
So we may be getting more money, we may not be, is what you're saying.
well, we can't count on it.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Personnel.
And but regardless, we did meet. It was
Okay.
effective.
All right. Moving on to miscellaneous. Is there anything under miscellaneous we need
I
to
have
discuss?
something.
Okay.
And I don't know if if the council behooves to wait, but something that Chris Jeter and I spoke about earlier in the week was the fact that the youth assistants in our locals, we do not have anything in place. And so there was some questions since they were not automatically renewing in the past, and I may defer to Chris here, that they basically termed. And so I think that happened in 2017. There's been nothing in place since. So I guess we needed some direction on what you'd like to see.
As far as getting interlocal agreements, I think we've had them in the past. I would assume we will continue
On
to.
what, on any issue or all issues, or what are you?
You still want to do them every year, is that what we're getting at?
So, well, I think there's a piece of it that if you want to continue to look at them every year, obviously we can. We just need to make sure that there's oversight there that they are looked at. Or you have the option where you could put an auto renewal clause to some degree that gives an out, within 90 days of expiration. Something to when we would do it. Chris, I don't know if you want to give any more.
He's kind of a champion of the youth assistance program, and we were not able to get an interlocal done this year just because we're trying to submit it to all the municipalities and get it back. We got so far behind it, we thought we'd be better off to just start working on it for 2019. He was inquiring about if there's a way to try to get around that. We could do some kind of auto renew with an opt-out. And I knew Amy had worked on it, so I just reached out to her and said, hey, I mean, that's an easy drafting thing to do, but it depends. I got to get guidance from you guys on if you want to do that or you don't, so I can get back to you. That's really what.
You mean
I'm
it's just a
thinking-
loose end or what?
Yes.
No, it's just, it comes up every year, and it's just been kind of
We didn't do it for
to
18.
try to get it through every time. I mean, by the time we get it signed, it's like we're 8 months into the year, and it expires,
Well, we just keep the same renewal in play, or the same language in place for an auto renewal. We just do a rubber stamp vote in December.
And you just put it basically where it says if both, if one or either party decides that they have a grievance over the agreement, you need to give notice for discussion. And then
I don't know. My gut feeling says if we're handing out taxpayers' money, we need an interlocal every year.
What's the confusing item is that we were just like a pass-through. It was us getting the money, and I don't know, again, if Robin wants to join in, that the money was being like deposited in our account from all the different municipalities and school systems. And our portion wasn't going to them, but it was going to pay the health benefits and
Of the ones up northern part of the county.
I don't think it's just
Not that.
Yeah, there's certain ones that we, I think you guys cover certain things in part-time. I think Sheridan Heights, you guys do the full-time. But Chris would have to look at those contracts, but there was a reason too that they came to the county council. And like I said, I haven't looked at one of those contracts in a couple years.
I can try to get on a rhythm of bringing it to you.
I would feel more comfortable with that than any kind of auto renew, because they kind of, when they first started getting going, every year or so, they would add another school or add another person and whatnot. And And unless you look at it on an ongoing basis, you don't know what we're funding, what everybody else is funding.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Beaver. I would like to see a contract every year.
Absolutely fine. We just need to have something in place, right? That's the end goal.
We can set up a well, are we the starting point, or is it the commissioners?
No,
That was
they
my
would
next
be,
question.
but he was asking you as our attorney, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
What do we have to have? Yeah.
So is that, and Rick brought up a great point, so the contracts are actually signed by the commissioners or council, or both?
Both, isn't
I
it?
think we're going to need,
We signed that one, yeah.
I think they're signed by the fiscal bodies because those always have to
what
go
I
back
recall.
to the city and town council.
That was my understanding.
And then there's something else in those contracts on how that money comes in because of
Certain line
the
items.
financial things that you had to do, and for how that money comes through. And like I said, there's some issues on that, on why they were drafted the way they were.
my recommendation is that we move forward and get those contracts, and that we should probably put a timeline. That those need to be done within 60 days or 90 days.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm reading between the lines, all he really needs to do is say, yeah, we need an interlocal, and then it's on them to get it in a timely manner.
So do we need it back February 1st? Is that a reasonable date? I think that we need to have a date that they need to fall into place, because didn't we have a problem before that there were some timely issues getting all those back to us?
It's kind of when they'd like to have the money. If it's not important, you can let it slide. If you need the money, you better get on it.
Well, I would like to pick a date, so if they pass that date, then it's on them and not us.
I think it's dependent upon how quickly he drafts and there's a draft.
Well, then it comes back to who's going to carry that, you know, and so it's the thought is that Tricia Akers is director, that it's her responsibility to get on the agendas of all of your boards for those signatures or not.
You have an idea, Mr. Jeters, on a reasonable date? I'm fine with March 1st. Is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to get the money until we get it, the signatures, you know, so.
And it doesn't, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works?
You can't do that.
No.
Because they have payroll and financial responsibilities and.
Well, the real question is,
They've been
are they
functioning.
still sending you money? They're still sending you money,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So-
It was always what I'd always been told, that those contracts carry on until the new contract is put in place. Chris, I don't know if that's true. I mean, that's.
This is what I needed. I can get back.
Any further discussion on the youth assistance? Seeing none, Council McKinney, you have something?
Just again, for the benefit of everybody, I attended the Hamilton County Tourism Board meeting last week, and it was kind of enlightening, and there was a lot of concern about our budget restrictions that we placed on them for next year. So to alleviate some of their concern, and talking also with their council and Commissioner Alt, I suggested offering to come December 5th, and I spoke to, I think, almost everybody except Jeff. Maybe I didn't get a hold of you. And President Schwartz said, okay, to put him on the agenda. So she's going to come. There's no, commitment or promise. She's going to update us on what they're doing, and we can talk about whether or not, we want to make a resolution that in the 1st of January or February that, we'll give her that assurance that she'll get the money, because they were concerned that they're not able to get the best dollar for their marketing plans, advertising, et cetera. But again, no guarantees, no promises were made, and I told her to be prepared for questions from all of us. So,
Okay.
heads up, December 5th.
Anything else under miscellaneous?
I'd like to just talk a little bit. I want to thank our county coroner. John has been bugging me for, it's just maybe a year and a half to be out with him to understand and ride with him to see what he does and what they do. Steve, I know you do it quite often and help out. And Amy was being bugged, I guess, also by John, too. And it just so happened that there was a situation that happened in Fishers, and we were both able to be there. And at the time, we didn't know the gravity of the situation. I just knew that there was a situation where they might need two coroners and some help. And unfortunately, greatly, it was the death of two teachers in Fishers when that happened that we, I guess, unfortunately, were on that call. But on the one side, I got to see John and one of his deputy coroners in action, and extremely professional. I was just amazed at everything they do. It is a true science and how it all works. I helped out. We even went back to the morgue, and then from there I went with John to his office, uploaded, did the reports. So it was probably 4:30 in the morning, I think, when we were done. And John asked me if I wanted to be coming back at 7:30 in the morning when he was going back to his office. I said, I think I'll try to get a little more sleep and do my day job. But yeah, it was something, and all the things that, you know, I used to look at their equipment and think, wow, there's a lot of neat things that they have, and is it necessary or not? But even everything's been thought through, even on how all their equipment is stationed and everything that they need, because most times it's just one person out there doing it. And as far as helping them not being able to just lift things up by themselves and so forth, that I'm just glad we have the equipment for them that they need. And it was, and I also want to say I'm glad that we did the morgue when we did, because that day there was roughly at some point in time, there were 7 different bodies that were in the morgue. And we would have been calling, if it wasn't for the new morgue, we would have been calling that night to different funeral homes trying to find cold storage. So it's a rough situation, but I'm thankful for John and his team and what they do.
Thank you, John. Moving on our agenda, unfinished business. Seeing none, we'll move to tabled business. Looks like we're good there. Moving on to new business, which will be approval of vendor claims.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Robin, do you know what that multi-million-dollar one is? Okay, it's not one of our transfers to rainy day. That's all. I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't it.
Have to move it from one fund to another fund, so it's either treasure surplus or it's tax sale. Okay. I'm sorry, is the that's your rainy day fund for October. We did that in October, so that's what this one is. My apologies. We moved the $5 million. That's what that is.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. This time, Jason Haney from Habitat is here. We'd like to give him just a couple of minutes to make a presentation. Welcome.
President, what's the purpose of these presentations tonight? We've already been through budget hearings.
There's no request. This goes back to the spring, the non-for-profits. The council was unable to attend a large gathering of the non-for-profit, so I was approached by Nancy Chance, and they have decided they would like to come in front of us, a couple each night, and there's no request to be made. They're just here telling us what's going on with their organizations here in the county.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
would like to congratulate each of you that won your election yesterday, and thank you for your service to Hamilton County. I am a member of, as President stated, a Hamilton County non-for-profit executive director board, and here with my friend Chris from Janus as well. Yeah, proud to be the executive director for Habitat for Humanity here in Hamilton County. We were founded by Nancy Chance about 30 years ago, and in that time have served nearly 80 families at the 30 to 60% of the area median income with housing. And in those 30 years, we've had no foreclosures. Grabbed the reins and have performed very well in that. And I'd say now, maybe more than ever, the county and our growth and prosperity, Habitat's needed here. And I say that from the standpoint of we are creating workforce housing, and we're the only organization that's doing creating home ownership opportunities for those folks that work at, say, NABI or Topgolf or those kind of places. So very excited to be a part of that and sustainability of our growth and of our community. So, also want to talk about a newly formed home repair partnership that is taking place between the Shepherd Center and Hand and us. So we are three organizations that we're all doing some sort of owner-occupied repair program, usually competing for funds, those kind of things. We all kind of sat down together and realized we're more successful. So we've been able to got some CDBG funds in October that we're going to be using to homeowners in Hamilton County that qualify. They're low income, they're at risk. These are some of our elderly, disabled residents. And we've done everything from going out and raking leaves and clean up yards to new roofs, new siding, windows, keep them in their home, grab bars, those kind of things, right? Took on our strengths where Shepherd Center was good at the intake, taking the applications, Hand's great with the grant writing, those kind of things. We have a large amount of volunteers and our relationship with vendors here in Hamilton County that can help stretch any of those CDBG funds or any other funds that come our way for that partnership. So I think kind of going into this year, we thought maybe 15, 20, if we were really lucky, families that we could help. Gotten some sort of assistance through this program. So that's all I had. I just want to thank you guys for your time. And
Your store you used to have in Westfield, did you just close it or did it move someplace else?
Yeah, we actually expanded. So we went from 2,500 square feet. I became executive director about 3 years ago. One of my first things we did, we had a 2,500 square foot store in Westfield. We're now down at Cross Point Business Park in Fishers, and it's 16,000 square feet. Wow. So about that, we take new items from homeowners, from contractors, all the stuff that ends up in landfill. You redo your kitchen, right? You take out those cabinets. It feels really good to put a sledgehammer through them, right, like they do on TV. But if you just back the screws out, back those out. We'll actually come and pick those up for free. We sell them in our store, and then those proceeds are used to help our fund our mission.
You have a business card, Jason?
I do, yes, yeah. Bring it up or we can.
Sure.
Yeah. I'd like that one.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
It's okay.
You're
You're fine. You can share. We'll figure it
Yeah.
out.
Thank you.
Rick will make Xerox copies.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. We appreciate the update. Is
Can
there any
I
other
ask a quick
questions?
question?
Yes, sir.
So one of my sons joined a Habitat group at one of the high schools.
Hamilton Southeastern, yes.
Yes, and I was just wondering what's the relation there? And
Yes. I had two young ladies from Hamilton Southeastern. They were juniors last year before school started that approached me that were interested in starting a Habitat chapter at the school. I said, that sounds great. I have no idea what that looked like, but I will say from those two young ladies, they got a few of their friends, formed an executive committee. In 1 year's time, there's now 80 students at Hamilton Southeastern that participate in this club. They do different fundraisers for Habitat. I think at this point they were over $5,000 raised
I just bought a bunch of car washes. So, yeah.
Car washes, yeah, they're making necklaces, all kinds of really cool things. And they're using part of their construction and engineering program at the school too to create some things in the classroom that they're selling and raising funds for it.
And then the funds go towards you, to this county?
Toward Habitat and toward a build, and the ultimate goal is we're looking, I would say April or May, we're actually going to do a panel build to their goal in the parking lot of Hamilton Southeastern High School. So these are students that raise funds, they do all this in their parking lot. We're going to construct all the framing for a new home that will currently scheduled to go into Sheridan.
Great.
Yeah, amazing group of kids. In just 1 year's time. So I thank your son for.
Yeah, I did. That was the first I'd ever heard of it, so I didn't know. It's the only one you have in the county right now?
Only one we have in the county.
Okay.
Yeah. We'd love to get it at each of the high schools and maybe do a combined county build kind of thing. Is our ultimate
Thank
goal.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Chris Sorensen from Janus. Hi, Chris. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and I'd like to just second what Jason said. Congratulations, everyone, on your election. Exciting time in this county. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support you've always given to Janus and Hamilton County Express. Of course, we value the programs and services we provide, but it just means so much that you support us and also feel that we do a good job. I just want to share a couple of things with you. Last week, we visited two Hamilton County employers or companies, Pet Suites and IMMI, with Congresswoman Susan Brooks because she wanted to acknowledge that October is known as National Disability Employment Awareness Month. What was really rewarding about these experiences of visiting these companies was to see how all the employees who work with people who are placed there through Janus's services really valued the work that they are doing there, and the companies were just really quite excited that they are able to find some people to work and do some things and really kind of ease their burden of trying to find staff. And it just really made me kind of realize that I think, we're facing a very low unemployment rate, and I know a lot of companies struggle to find enough staff, and it just seems like sometimes when the companies are willing to do things a little bit differently, they find some solutions to the challenges they're facing, and it really benefits everybody. So I thought that was kind of exciting. We continue to work with a number of the school systems in some kind of really neat programs. One of the things we had started a couple of years ago was like a summer program for students because we were finding that students of a certain age, they have special needs, they don't always have many choices of places to go. So we began a summer program and it's been really successful. We've gotten great feedback from the schools and from the parents of that. And then we've also started a program with Hamilton Southeastern Schools as well, starting last year, where we would have some of our clients visit the students there in the transition program on a weekly basis, do some different activities with them, and then sometimes they will come to Janus. And we just found that was a great way to introduce the students to some thoughts of what are some of the choices they might make once they exit the educational system. And as we met with some of the parents later, they just said it was such a relief to their students to know that they've met some other people, they've made new friends, and they've seen what real possibilities exist once they get out of school. And then I just want to share just a few little pieces of information about Hamilton County Express. Transportation is just such a huge issue, and we hear so many things about it. So I just wanted to share some of the statistics of last year that I think is really pretty impressive. In 2017, we provided 66,028 rides to Hamilton County residents. Of those, 52,444, or 79%, were provided for riders to get to or from work. 4,290 rides were provided for education. 2,564 rides were for medical appointments. 3,712 were for personal reasons. 1,562 rides were for shopping. And 1,126 rides were for social services. And then Jason had mentioned how some of the nonprofits are partnering together. We have formed a
Thank you, Chris. Does anybody have
Thank
any
you.
questions for Chris?
Deal with them quite a bit. So, I mean, we're very familiar with that organization.
Great. Thank you for your
Thank you very much.
presentation.
Appreciate it.
Did a great job. Thank you. Looks like we have John Hernessy. I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce that very well. From the Southeastern Foundation. Maybe we do?
Yeah,
No?
going twice.
Okay.
Moving on.
We'll move on. Item E on your agenda, 11-07-18-01. It's a resolution concerning the purchase of real estate for 236th Street.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to combine E, F, H, I, J, K, and L.
No,
No,
No.
these aren't the same.
Yes, they are. They're all the same. We talked about it earlier.
No, this E is
This
different.
is buying land for the
E is
highway.
different.
Oh, is it that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll move on to the next one.
So
All right,
moved.
motion. There you go.
So
Second.
moved on the land purchase.
We have a motion and a
Second.
second.
All right.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Now, Fred.
Ah, there you go.
Item F is an interlocal agreement between Hamilton County, and there are several of these interlocal agreements.
Yeah, but he wants to table G, so that's why I was going to make a motion to combine F, H, I, J, K, and L.
Okay, got it. Okay, just want to make sure I understand.
Mr. President, would you give a brief description? I'm not opposed to joining them all. Give a brief description as to what this interlocal does.
Did I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. We do have a second. The interlocal, Mr. Snowden's here. You might be able to define it a little better than myself. I don't want to make any mistakes.
While he's coming up, I got a question. So the motion is to combine these and in addition, table G?
No, we can
correct.
do that separately.
Are we doing that separately?
Yeah.
We'll have a motion to table that separately.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
Well, yeah, fine. I just.
Mr. Snowden, if you could give us a
Yes. good
quick
evening.
rundown.
Absolutely. So the interlocal agreements before you tonight are the interlocals between Hamilton County and the towns and townships that we dispatch for, that we've never had an interlocal agreement with before because there was no fee from them. So there was
Correct.
no agreement with them. Because that's changing for 2019, we find the need to have an interlocal agreement. And so this is exactly the same interlocal as the 4 cities have already signed and have signed in the past, with 2 exceptions. One is that it outlines the fee structure for the towns and townships being 10% this year, with 90% being paid by the county. And the other is the fact that the makeup of the 911 Executive Board always before allowed a member of the towns, but never the townships. That was not contemplated originally. So now we've added the townships as well.
This interlocal agreement, I have a question on that this is an annual agreement. Is that correct?
This is for 1 year because we were not sure what the funding source would look like moving forward. So we made a 1-year interlocal with the towns and townships.
You know, and I think it's very important for the public to know that the county has picked up 90% of the portion of all these entities we're getting ready to pass.
Yeah,
And-
so to put that in a nutshell, in the past, the 4 cities of Hamilton County plus Hamilton County government have paid all the cost for dispatching. And the 4 cities have decided that they want to pay for their dispatching, not everybody else's, so the county is picking up the county's dispatching and what we'll call the northern cities and townships.
So the 911 Executive Board, which is made up of the 4 mayors, a member of the commissioners, and the county sheriff, collectively made that decision. Yes, sir.
Would you agree with what I just said?
With the exception of what I just said, yes, sir. That's absolutely. I don't mean to be argumentative. It's just that there are 6 members on the 911 Executive Board and not just
Yeah,
the 4 mayors.
okay.
But yes, absolutely what you said is correct.
Okay, so basically, everybody understand what we're doing here. And so going forward, we're going to pay for the northern cities and towns and townships. And this year, we're paying all of it. And then for 19, we want them to pay 10%. And if it goes forward from there, it'll be an escalating, so that at the end of 10 years, they would be paying for their dispatching like everybody else is per call.
But that's not in this agreement, right?
This one, we're paying 10%.
Right.
They're going to pay 10% in 19.
This is
Is
a
that correct?
1-year agreement.
It's a 1-year agreement, and Brad's made a very good point that in the years to come, this agreement can and probably will change where the county is not paying 90%. It will, I assume, decrease in stair step, similar to what we did with EMS years ago for those northern entities.
Or perhaps, as the paper said, maybe somebody will sponsor a tax that will take care of it.
Yeah, he brought that up. That's great.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's out there, and they did mention that. But I mean, it's worth noting that I was quoting that article because it's interesting that if you look at the mayors, we talked about this earlier. They share, right, legislative and fiscal responsibilities with their councils. Commissioners don't have any of those responsibilities, but yet they're the appointees on the E1911 Executive Board, but they have absolutely no say in tax or fiscal matters. So I mean, for us to not have any representation on there, number one, it doesn't make sense, but two, we need to get clarification on what tax they want, because everybody, from what I'm gathering, says that the main reason that these cities want it is because it's going to clear all those expenses off their balance sheets. But yet a lot of them want the county council to be the only ones to vote on it. And Brad and I discussed this earlier. I think that it should be it should go through a full lit council. If they want to clear it off their balance sheets, they need to vote on it.
It has to go through the full.
No, there's two different taxes.
This particular one has to go through.
There's two different taxes you can do.
This particular one has to go.
Yeah, but this one that you can do either tax that you can't.
Okay, that would
Mike,
be for a further
future
discussion.
Mike, do you know on page 5, number G, where it's given a member of the town and township as a representative? Is there a date? I mean, is that going to be held this year so they're ready to go January 1, or do you know?
So the county council wishes to have the interlocal agreements first, so these have not gone to the towns and townships yet. So as quickly as they can ratify those, it would be anticipated it would be for the beginning of 2019.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying that the language in here is missing any specificity. It doesn't say, by December 31st, somebody will be chosen or that sort of thing.
Correct. It does not. It mirrors the language of the other interlocals with the exception of adding the townships.
Any further questions on these interlocal agreements to Mr. Snowden? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And the
Hold
next.
on, Michael, because I have a question on the next one.
Okay. Item G in front of us. Is there a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I was
Page 2
just
on
saying,
your
that
agenda.
is, the reason for that is you're looking for accounting as far as how to charge them?
Yes, so our fee structure is predicated on the calls for service from the prior full year. Atlanta Fire Department did not exist in 2017, so we don't have an easy way to structure a fee. And so that was discovered Monday, and I was unable to get with Atlanta's elected officials to discuss this, so we asked to table it tonight in order to come to some resolution with them to bring this back to you at your next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This time, I would open the public hearing concerning additional appropriations. First item, County General is requesting $11,687.
So moved. Oh, sorry. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and
Are you on the
seconded.
commissioner's job description update? Or are you looking
What's the 11,000 for?
Item
That's
1.
separate, though. That's on number 3. Number 1.
Let me change the way I read that. So item 1 under A is the commissioner's job description update. Is
Where's the
So
11,000?
moved.
Second.
now discussion.
What are we approving, the job description?
Correct.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay.
I'm looking at it. I'm fine with it. Let's go ahead and vote.
Good?
Okay. Did we have one already, or is this just
Brand new.
It is brand new.
This is for the position we just budgeted for.
Right, the
for
part-time,
2018.
right.
Time Veteran
Part-time
Services
veteran
Officer.
service.
what's different than the one that we did last year?
This is for the part-time person we approved at budget hearings.
Now, when they find this person, then she'll have two.
Different. So she had like an administrative part-time, and this is for
Actual assistant.
veteran service.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the
Any
clarification.
further? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries. A2, it's judicial services, there's a $3,000 transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item 3 is ISS. Several things under this item 3. We can take them one at a time. There's an additional for $11,687.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now there is a transfer of $362.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's too much
Motion
money
carries.
for me to second.
I understand. 3 and 4, 2018-144 amendments, and there are 2 of those.
Move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And item 4 is a EMA transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Stuck together here. Now we got it. Building and grounds transfer.
So moved.
Second.
I'm just a quick question on this. It says, I mean, it's a small amount of money, 12,000 outsourced repairs here, but I don't see a sponsor. Is this, and is it new money or
Don't need a
Transfer.
sponsor for transfer.
it's transferring over? Okay.
All those in favor? We
It
did
doesn't
get a
say that
second.
on there.
I would like to do both,
Where's it say
if that
transfer?
motion included both.
It does not, that's
Yeah.
not a transfer.
But it's showing,
Have to look,
Transfer.
yeah, if you look up there.
see where it's going from one to the other.
Okay, the 12, okay, thank you.
Yes, that motion will be for both transfers.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm sorry, was that for 1138 and 1140?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Electronic map generation requesting $27,340.
Yeah, the surveyor called me on this. It's to buy a scanning printer type piece of equipment.
That's a high roller, isn't he?
He is a high roller. Do we need him to come up and
Yeah.
do his 30-minute presentation?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Kent, you didn't get to come up and speak.
Okay, now, E is Park and Recreation. There's a $50,000 transfer request.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item F, communications at statewide 911. They're requesting $175,000, and the amount available for additional appropriation is $685,379.
Mr. President, can we combine 1, 2, and 3 for discussion? That's my motion.
That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Yes, discussion.
So I think most of you are probably aware, if you haven't heard from Mr. Snowden, he is here, but this position that they're requesting assists with the CAD software programming. I don't know if you want to come up and give some information further, but it's important when you think about fire run cards and ultimately elements that from a coordination and implementation perspective.
So, one question I would have is, out of the 175, They're looking for 175,000 from the county?
That's separate, yeah. We're just
Oh.
looking at 1, 2, and 3. The number 4 will come after that.
I got you. Okay, never mind.
So 1, 2, and 3 is all based on this new position request.
I got you. Okay.
So to give you a shorter version as possible, in 2007, the New World CAD system came into existence for Hamilton County, and both Fishers and Carmel fire departments were doing their own run recommendations, their own entries into the quadrants, units, those types of things, basically the programming of the CAD system. In 2017, when Noblesville and Westfield came on board, they've both also tasked fire chief level folks department to do this CAD work. And so each of these agencies is spending quite a bit of money and time doing the CAD programming that by all rights Hamilton County should have been doing since day one. And so in 2017, the fire chiefs asked me to start trying to get a new position to take this over because it really wasn't their job, quite frankly, to do. It is ours. And so due to budget timing and things of that nature, it wasn't until now that I'm able to ask this. And so we're asking for a software support specialist that's primarily going to be doing that CAD programming for the fire departments to free up that staffing for the fire departments again to make this right. And so Chief David Habush from Carmel Fire is here representing the Fire Chiefs Association if you would like to hear from him on this matter, or I can answer any questions you may have.
Well, I'd like to hear from the chief since he drove all the way over here, and he's such a good speaker.
Good evening, council members. I'm here to ask for your support on this to help our 911 dispatch center. Currently, as Director Snowden succinctly explained the process, this is a needed position. Currently, the cities of Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, and Noblesville all have from their fire department a designated person that oversees the run cards to make sure that each locale is dispatched the way that that organization is looking for. The responses are all very similar, but if you look at the size of the community and the size of the fire department, they're all very different. They're all expanding, they're all getting bigger, but they all have their nuances on the way that they choose to be dispatched. So, by having a representative from each of those 4 departments, it's been a blessing that we still have a voice in what the department's looking for to be able to be dispatched. It's a bit of a curse because it has morphed from a couple-hour-a-week position to multiple hours per week and days per month, weeks per month, and in each of those 4 departments, it was never intended to do that. It was supposed to be a short-term fix in order to get the system up and running. And so we find ourselves at the end of 2018 in a position that we still have people that were never intended to do this position. We still have them doing it. From a long-term planning perspective, this position's needed. For a consistency standpoint, as far as the person or persons entering run cards into the CAD, that is a good thing. I'll give you an example in Carmel. Adam Harrington has been our person. He has been a phenomenal, dedicated individual. Previously, he's been a reserve deputy for Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. He's been a volunteer firefighter. Up until last week, he was our planning chief, which is a division chief level. As of Monday, he became our deputy chief of operations. And as the deputy chief of operations of the Carmel Fire Department, he will not be able to continue doing this position. We will have someone, but it won't be to the level and depth that Adam has been able to spend his time as the planning chief. So on behalf of all of the fire chiefs in Hamilton County, we all are asking for this position to be funded. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have for this. It is much needed, and from our perspective, it's long overdue.
I appreciate it, Chief. Thank you. My question's probably more to Mr. Snowden, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip.
Thank you. Mike, we spoke earlier today. Can you just clarify again, how does this differ from the position we turned down at budget time?
It is similar but different in that we added some additional workflows to the person as a statistical analysis worker, for lack of a better word, and we added some additional other duties that it did not have before.
So, again, just to clarify, once you get this, you won't be coming back and asking for the other one?
No, that is correct. This is the person that we need to do both of those jobs. There will not be a second request.
And then the costs of the position, approximately $88,000, will that be figured into the budget to be divided by everybody next year on their share and all that?
So two parts to that. One, this was requested as a Pat C level to go to Wagner Irwin Sheely because we did not know how this would grade out. I found out late this afternoon that it's actually going to grade out as a Pat B, and so the proposed annual pay is going to come down one level. So when I go to the Personnel Committee, I believe is my next step, that's going to actually be less than 54. And so the pay and benefits, interestingly enough, are already in the calculation for all 17 of our agencies to pay for 2019.
Already? It was
I have to
added
give
already?
them my numbers in May, and so they're already planning on paying for it.
All those
Thank you.
cities and so forth agreed that and have it in their budgets, you're saying?
That is correct. They're paying their proportional share of this cost. They will be paying it already.
I got a quick question for you, just a little outside of this. You talked about the New World. Is that annual training? Because I've seen there's a lot of travel and things associated with conferences and stuff for the New World training. Is that something that new employees have to do one time, or is this an annual thing that people do for training?
I believe we send 2 or 3 of our employees, I believe it's 2 of our employees to the New World Conference every year, and I actually believe that it's paid for by contract already with New World. So there is no additional cost above our contract.
Yeah, there was a bunch of receipts that I went over in budget hearings. A bunch of them said New World Travel on there. But that's not the point of the discussion. I'm just curious. Do those 2 employees have to do the same thing? Do they do these conferences every year? Is it a refresher course, or do you save that money because they only have to go one time to do training and they're all set?
So our software suite administrator goes every year. The ISS department sends one of their ISS gentlemen every year. And this year, our training manager went for a refresher, but I don't anticipate that person going every year. So our software suite administrator will go every year, and one other person may go as well as a refresher.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And there's constant changes to that New World software. I met with you, several months ago, and there's constant changes coming down the pipe.
Is there constant change? They do 3 or 4 upgrades a year. And so it is literally constant testing and change. Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in...
Can I say something first?
Yes.
Real quick? So the way this is presented now, you would be approving this at the Pat C at the salary. So the way it's been presented, this wouldn't go back to personnel. And so I don't know if you want to change that motion to be like a Pat B at entry level, Mike, or do you know what the...
I would appreciate the ability to go up to the halfway point to find the best candidate, but of the Pat B level, yes.
Everybody fine with that?
So normally what that means is you have allowed, I think it's basic level 4 up to the basic level 4. Mike, is that what you're...
Yes, that's correct.
So I will change my motion to include 1, 2, and 3 with the noted change of a Pat B up through basic level 4 maximum advertising.
And I'm good with my second still.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I assume there's no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Now, item 4, that is the $175,000 to fund that.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
No,
That's not what that is.
This is to fund new software.
No,
Yeah.
this is new software.
Okay.
Mike, can I ask you another question? And maybe you're not the person to ask. Maybe it's a theoretical question for the 911 board. But you mentioned that the extra distribution we're getting is how much? 500,000?
No, sir, it's 430,000. So as explanation, the statewide 911 board, every year that I've been in Indiana, has provided an additional distribution towards the end of their fiscal year when they have excess funds. It's always been in the $150,000, $175,000 range. This year, they had excess funds that allowed us to be distributed $430,000.
So the balance of the 260,000 approximately, what's going to be done with that?
It is going to be in our unallocated funds for use at a later date.
Does anybody want to think about whether we could use that to offset our nearly $500,000 contribution for the North?
Yeah, well, let's ponder on that for a month. It's not a bad idea.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Trying to figure out, are we going to discuss this, or does this need table?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Highway Special Fund, they're requesting $550,000. Council McKinney is the sponsor.
Second.
This is to pay for utility reimbursement in the 276th Street. Now we need it.
Got a motion?
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to, there's a communications transfer of $20,000. This is myself, and this is for the appropriating funds for rentals of tower sites.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The 2018 SHSP LPR is requesting $100,000. Paul Ayers.
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to know what it is.
This is the plate reader, isn't it?
License plate readers.
I mean, as I told Mr. Booker in my email to him, I have no idea what. I know what a plate reader is, but I don't know what we're going to use it for, what the restrictions are, when it's limited, when it's not. So, but I never heard back from him. So,
where are these being located? You said two.
Excuse me. Did you hear what? Did you get my email? I guess is my question.
I did not.
Oh.
I apologize. I didn't see your email.
Oh, okay.
Or I would have responded. This is actually an extension of the system that was approved by the council in 2015 using UASI funds. This is SHSP money from the state that does not require any matching funds and is basically an extension of that previously purchased system. This is used by state police, Fishers, Hamilton County Sheriff's Department, and Carmel. And it doesn't, this would be an additional 6 systems that would then be incorporated with Carmel, the Sheriff's Department, and Noblesville Police. This still requires police to have probable cause. It's not just let's go out and find people and track them or anything of that nature. It was brought up by the Indiana Civil Liberties Union, raised the issue in 2013, but that was quickly, there wasn't any legal action that was required then. There is a current state law that requires law enforcement to only hang on to that data for 30 days, and then after that it has to be purged. So it really is primarily used by law enforcement to find things like stolen cars, suspended drivers, and those sorts of issues. And then finally, there's no matching requirements, as I mentioned, so this is really a win-win for law enforcement within our community to help continue to keep people safe, and falls in lines with the SHSP funding for counterterrorism.
That's interesting. What the locations, though? You said 2 locations. Where are those locations?
Well, right now, they're currently located on vehicles in Fishers and in the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. And then those are also located at the Sheriff's Complex at all of the entrances.
It says on here 2 locations, and what it says here. This
Okay.
is a plate reader equipment installed at 2 locations.
Well, the 2 locations would be Noblesville, and also it would be installed, I believe, for Carmel.
Okay, but you don't know where.
I do not know the specifics because they're still working with the vendor on the exact number of cameras that that grant funding will provide.
You said, just give me a quick example of this being used for counterterrorism. I mean, that's a pretty big thing to throw there. So I just kind of want, give me an example of when this was used for counterterrorism.
It's used every day for counterterrorism.
I know. I'm just asking you for an example.
Sure,
right.
An example would be that if we had a hypothetical situation where there was someone that the FBI had probable cause or criminal predicate so that they could request a warrant, then that warrant could be attached to the license plate for that subject, and then when the police car goes by there, instead of them entering the plate by hand, the license plate readers would actually run that plate for them electronically instead of them doing it manually, then finding that person that has a warrant, a federal warrant in that case.
Yeah, and then you also said like a suspended driver's license. I mean, when would it be used in that case? I'm just kind of going off what you're saying. So,
Sheriff, do you want to?
Plates and obviously run them.
But that's never happened around here. That's never happened around here, just for clarification. Okay.
I think I should clarify, because pretty much everybody else did get my email, so I apologize if on my end I didn't get it to you, because pretty much I sent it to everybody, and so if you didn't get it, I only apologize. But with that said, I guess, I'm pretty much a law enforcement kind of person. I have a problem with going around looking at people's cars, checking people's license plates. This is me. Just in general, I have a problem with things like that, because to me, it's an infringement on people's rights. I'll probably vote for it, but to me, because that's the way of life it is we're living in today because of terrorism and, but to overstate it, like you got a guy that's got a suspended driver's license because he's, got busted, doesn't have any money, so he doesn't show up for court. He's driving down the street. He's going to work. I'm just using this as an example. He gets scanned. He is guilty, no question about it. But in my mind, maybe that's not a very good reason. But in my mind, it is an infringement on people's rights, just scanning every license plate. So with that said, there you go.
Anybody else?
I think Shane's recovered from a month ago when Commissioner Altman appears to have raked him over the coals about the due process and the same thing. She had similar concerns, and I think just looking at their minutes, she had made the motion to approve it with the condition that the user agency sign off that they're going to use the data collected only for counterterrorism or authorized law enforcement getting wanted vehicles. So that satisfied her as an attorney and concerned about civil rights as well.
Okay, so what was the restrictions again, Rick? Do you know?
It says the user agency sign off that the data will be collected for counterterrorism or law enforcement looking for wanted or stolen vehicles. And Shane, you can confirm that's all in motion? Or?
That is. That's part of the project. The funding is coming through the state, which obviously has to go through emergency management, but the Sheriff's Department is the one that's actually leading the charge on the project.
So if you We're late on your child support. Could you get picked up with that?
But you said suspended driver's license or something to that matter. This would pick that up.
It would indicate that, yes. It indicates warrants, stolen vehicles, tied to the data, and it's provided through the DMV, which obviously is information that we've relied upon for years to conduct business. So there's nothing new, it's just a new way of collecting that information and accessing it and responding.
Yeah, I appreciate you that. I'm just a little. I mean,
It is Big Brother-ish, man.
Yeah. Well, I know, but and then to say counterterrorism, there's not one example of that in Hamilton County. So, but I mean, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm just a little on the fence on it. And I get that, Mark. I understand what you're saying, but
I can't tell you that
as I don't know. I'm just a little.
I can tell you that this project, though, started with Homeland Security grant dollars that were approved by the council to start the project. So this funding is just an extension of that original project that I believe was in 2015.
So I have a question. So just for clarification, so this is just an automated system. The officer in the car can type in the same license plate and get the same information. What this does is just keeps his hands on the wheel, and it will automatically feed him the information. So
I'm not going to disagree with that, but there's a lot more difficulty for an officer driving along, seeing a guy and putting his light, and it is just scanning every license plate that goes by. To me, there's a dramatic difference in that. You know, okay. I'm not arguing with what you're saying, Mr. President. I'm just saying there is, to me, a little bit of difference.
I'd like to ask a quick question. Amber alerts or silver alerts, would this be able to be used for that?
That would be.
Okay.
That's interesting. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Thank you.
I'm opposed.
So am I.
Oh, excuse me.
You might want to do a hand vote.
Yeah. We raise our hands on your votes.
Which one you want?
I'm going to have Robin do a roll call. So
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Brad Beaver,
No.
Paul Ayers,
Yes.
Fred Glenn,
Nope.
Yes.
Rick McKinney,
Yes.
Yes.
your motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for the roll call. Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, moving on. Item on our agenda is the Federal Highway Reimbursement Fund, and they're requesting $120,604.
So moved.
Second.
All those
One
in,
page.
all those,
Four. Is it four? Okay.
yeah, it's money coming back. All those in
I'm just getting straight
favor
what I'm looking at. Okay.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The HMEP grant. It's a fund reduction of $316.53.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And the bottom of the page, L, is Duck Creek Erosion Grant, and there's a transfer request for $50,000.
Didn't we deal with
So
this
moved.
already?
Second.
Any further discussion, questions?
And he keeps coming.
I know. That's the same thing. How many times are you going to bring us Duck Creek?
Trying to get him to come up and dance. He won't do it.
How many of you have ever seen that?
We're going to have to. It's been on the agenda 3 times.
I have seen Duck Creek, and it does need erosion control. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. On to the third page, announcements. Sheriff.
You should have a project status report before you update on where we are with the jail expansion project. We're on schedule. The building's been closed. It's ready for completion on interior, exterior. Most parts been sealed, so they're moving right along and things are on track. So, we did have a fatality up on 31 this afternoon, unfortunately. Potholes, a semi didn't recognize it.
Was that a state employee or a contract
A
employee?
contract employee.
Sheriff, I got a question that might be better for Steve Wood, but you probably know. I drive by the jail room addition on a daily basis. So what's on the inside of the insulation? Wall?
Steve Wood?
I mean, I see the insulation, you know, I seen the metal studs go up and then the insulation, but what's on, how about if I had a knife, couldn't I just like dig through the, what's on the inside?
So,
Steel boxes. Pods.
So you have the steel cells.
Right.
And you have a hallway in between those steel cells where we can work on the back of the cells, the hookups for the water, the drainage, everything on the hallway. Then you have the siding and then the brick. So with that barrier on there, it's the new, it's 2 insulation panels are together. They skim coat it and then they brick over the front of that.
So really, you're not counting on the wall itself to keep the prisoner.
Because your steel cells go all the way up.
Birdman, you know,
Yeah.
he's in there chiseling away. Because you can get through a brick wall. Now, I'm telling you, a hammer,
You'd have to get
well,
through the steel
bricks are not
cells
that
to get
tough.
to the
You
exterior walls.
remember that it's happened at the jail.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so it's the steel cells are stacked on top of
Right.
one another, and it's a hallway in between that hits the exterior walls.
Good enough. That's all I needed.
Council Attorney, Mr. Jeters.
No.
Okay, Madam Auditor.
Yeah, we were talking today. Dawn has included the 2019 board appointments that'll be up, so she put that in there for your information. And then we had you go ahead and sign the nepotism papers beforehand, so.
Perfect.
Madam Auditor, I at the Aspire's on here, I believe. At the Aspire meeting at one of, I believe they said at that meeting, and I'll check on this, that by state statute, we no longer have an appointment. It comes from the commissioners.
What's that? Which one is that?
Aspire,
The one that we have pointed you to?
Yeah.
Okay. The last item before we adjourn, unless there's some further discussion.
I was going to ask something. You say it, but then before we adjourn, I need to say something.
Okay. I just wanted to remind fellow council that at our December meeting, we will be meeting at 5 for a joint meeting with county commissioners. I assume that will be in 1A. 1A. Yes. Go ahead.
Dan, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Is there a date for this caucus? I haven't seen an email on it. It was referenced in one of the meetings, and Christine and I talked last Thursday, the caucus with Rick Cockrum, the lobbyist for next year's legislative session. She said it was going to be advertised as a caucus for all of us, so.
Correct.
Sorry?
I'm not sure what the date is yet.
Well, that's, she threw out, she told me she thought it was December 13th, and I'm just trying, because I haven't seen anything official, and I didn't know if you were scheduling that.
Nothing's been published on it yet. I'll confirm.
As soon as you know, or
I'll
just-
confirm
yeah.
the date at the 13th
Okay.
meeting and then let you know.
Because again, it's for the, whatever, the auditor is going to be a caucus, so it would be closed to the public, so, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Council Hearn.
I saw a scout in the audience and was standing out there, and I just wanted to grab him to figure out what badge he's working on, or why'd he decide to spend a beautiful Wednesday night listening to all of us talk. Come on up.
Come on up. If you would, tell us your name, young man.
What's your name, school, grade, hometown, and what badge you're working on?
My name is Marcus Johnson. I go to Noblesville East Middle School, and I live in Noblesville. I came here to just observe the meeting and what you guys talk about and what goes on for community citizenship in the community merit badge.
Very
Awesome.
nice.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
What troop are you in?
596.
Okay.
Turn around, look to the right, and you'll be on camera. Yep, you are now live. Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Did this meeting make you want to do something in government when you grew up, and was this really exciting for you, or?
It's an answer. You can be honest.
Yeah, you can be honest.
You got to tell the truth.
I was
Pretty boring.
Pretty boring.
Pretty boring stuff.
Well, I was I thought it was really cool that self-official
Oh,
room and
okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of saying you guys are pretty boring.
But the official part is cool.
Yeah.
Might have a career in politics.
This could be our next president. Thank you for coming, young man.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
How about a round of applause? Good job. Anything else for the good of the order for the county council? Seeing none, we are adjourned.